How you doing, everybody? One moment, please. I just started this up and I didn't set the other broadcast stream, so give me a few moments here to get those people up and going. And today we're going to look at the impeachment and what it means. Well, the impeachment inquiry. Still, it's an inquiry. Impeachment inquiry. um, Proven illegal. Update on, and this will be today. This broadcast right now. Last chance. To impeachment president illegal. Proven by Democrats to be illegal. And of course, it's what we call in Spanish bochinche, which means basically gossip. Okay, so we're going to start the stream, get everyone started up here. We just now started to broadcast. Alrighty, so let me just get myself a little comfy. And now we're broadcasting to most of the stratosphere. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's stream. We're going to talk about this morning, the House voted to approve of the procedures to be utilized in the now proven illegal impeachment inquiry. So, and we're going to explain why that is during today's broadcast. One more thing to do is to let me share this stuff out to the proper channels. And that'll take a moment now. Let me get this out there where it needs to be. How is everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Just give me a second while I share this out to our Viral Political Machine page on Facebook. Anybody interested in Viral Political Machine is on Facebook. We also have an opportunity for you, if you're in the GOP, open for GOP right now, to become a campaign management asset or an election consultant. It's one of the things that we're doing. We're training interested folks in being able to qualify for this position, at least 5 positions within any type of election campaign. I'm also setting up some of my other tools here for transcription. So we can still see that. Well, I guess the chat's all working. So anybody want to chat, you can chime in and we'll entertain your questions or comments during this broadcast. Okay, so what happened? Well, this morning we have the vote for the procedures. And during our last video or broadcast, we had explained the fact that once Pelosi brings this impeachment inquiry, which was going on in secret before, without any due process afforded the President of the United States, once she brought it in for the vote, she's admitting that it was illegal before. It was not legal before for them to do it. And it's an admittance after the fact. We were saying it before, and then because the Republicans were raising a fuss she then brings it to, you see, so the sequence of events is what proves, and also the nature of it, the character of what was going on before, as opposed to now. I mean, why does the Senate, the House of Representatives, need to approve of procedures now? Why is that needed? Why wasn't it needed before? Any Democrat has to ask the question. If you have a brain, you're asking that question. Why do you need the vote now? Why was the vote necessary now? And so, again, if you're a Democrat and you're going by the thinking process that, oh, now it's what? What is your thinking process anyway? So they just voted. So what are you thinking? What did they vote for? You understand? Where was the first vote? When was that had? So I don't see what a Democratic voter who votes Democratic for the Democratic Party, I don't see what you're thinking about that this vote is supposed to mean. What does it? I would like to know, what exactly does it mean for you or to you? Because whatever it means to you, whatever the news is about it, for the same reasons, what was happening before and is supposedly at the context within which these procedures that were voted in now were founded on. What was going on before is invalid, even in your own determination, because if you're making a big deal about, no, about this vote. Oh, now things are, well. Then what were they before? What weight should we place on what was before, which formed, by the way, the basis for this vote? Let me look at the impeachment vote, some news articles, and bring you in on them so that we can see them together. I don't like going to the Times too much because they start saying, "Well, your free access is up." Like, don't don't be in the news business anymore. Just get out, do something else, sell magazines. Now, okay, so let's go to NPR and let's see what goes on here. Let's see what how they present things. House passes resolution formalizing impeachment inquiry. Okay. Um, this is at NPR. No, so it passed by a vote of 232 to 196 against. So in the House, there was 36. There's 36 shy of the difference. Of getting this down. That means they could have been split by another 15 votes here and there, and it wouldn't have passed. This is how close a vote this was. For 15 people, it's not a lot. It's just literally a handful. 15 people is even like almost less than 10%. In total, there would have been what? 328, 328, right? So it's less than 10%, like 5%. We're talking about that this measure passed by 5% of the House. Okay, so can you imagine what's going to happen in the Senate? A lot of people don't understand that this whatever went on today and will go on later on if they want to formally bring out charges. Again, it's very flimsy. Like, only 5%, and now you have to go through the hurdle of bringing up charges against President Trump. It still has to go to the Senate. And the Senate's not going to have any issue with knocking this out. Absolutely. So it's all of this simply is just political maneuvering. That's all this is. And that vote in the Senate, 5%. If the Republican or those, and it's not just Republicans, because we had at least two Democrats that voted against the this thing, and all that was needed was 5%, 5% to defeat this thing in the House. So you know that this battle is this politically motivated battle is really weak. Would have been different if this was more, more substantive, but it isn't. And of course, 5% is really not that much if you look at it. And so the House of Representatives voted Thursday to pass a resolution formalizing its impeachment, because before it was not formal. Okay, it was not formal. And since the House can make up its own rules, it's the only reason it wasn't just plain and simply illegal. It would be illegal what they did, and the reason I named the scope the way I did was because if this was like the police precinct, in your neighborhood, and they were doing something like this to your kids, your lawyer would have a great case against the government, against the police, because what they were doing was illegal. See, because there's no due process. The person's denied due process. The president, in this case, has been denied due process. I've been saying this from at least before most of the others came in later now this week, declaring it such. I've been saying this for a while already, and I'm glad to hear all of them jump on, including Sekulow, the president's lawyer. Just heard him just a day or two ago. I think it was yesterday that I heard him say exactly what I said 2 days prior, right? If you've been watching his broadcast, if you're watching mine, you would see that I came out with this early this week. Matter of fact, Sunday's teaching, I started talking about this, and last week, Sunday as well. So, and all it does is that it just reinforces. Now, if we're going to take this to the court of law, anyone could see that this vote says that what was going on, it infers that what was going on previously was not right. That there was no due process. If you're looking at criminality, and the moment this thing would be even entered into a court of law, then this issue will be brought up. Right now, the House can play whatever game it wants, and people have to understand this. The people of the United States need to understand at this moment that the Democrats can do whatever they like, because it doesn't have to be legal. They don't have to do anything according to any law or anything like that, because they have leeway in establishing ad hoc committees and setting whatever rules they want to set for any period of time to conduct any type of business, until it gets out of their control. Meaning that if they would take this matter, which is what's supposed to happen with an impeachment. Once an impeachment is finished, it's supposed to go then to the courts, right? That's what's supposed to happen. The right then the law takes over. So people have to understand that the House has been conducting business, especially related to this impeachment thing, in a manner that will not stand in any court of law, let alone the Senate, if they would conduct the court of law there, or a Supreme Court review. This would not stand up to legal muster. That's it, period. So, in the final analysis, this exercise is just an exercise in futility. The Democrats, they know this. These guys are lawyers. They know what they're doing. Schiff knows what he's doing. Pelosi was against this impeachment from the beginning. She's only in favor of what they've done now because she knows. She knows, and they know because she would have told them and reminded them, because they're lawyers too, that this will not fly down the road. But what the Democrat politicians wanted was something to overshadow the overwhelming popularity and strength of the Electoral College in favor of Trump. They needed something. Apparently, also, what's being stated is that the Democratic candidates, none of them do they feel have the ability to overcome the Trump re-election in 2020. Obviously, the reasons they're going so hard with this uh, attack, just a disparaging attack on President Trump, is simply to do their best in trying to convince the weak minded voters who are not strong with legal, understanding legal things and or political things, let alone the Constitution of the United States, or how they're really supposed to conduct business in the House and in the Senate. See, there's a lot of things you have to understand. But most people, honestly, most people don't. So, again, which of the parties is abusing the people of the United States? Which party is the one making obvious by their deeds that their constituents are dumb? Which one? It's the Democrats. Because the only people that are so gullible in thinking that there's something there again, because Mueller wasn't enough, now we have this. So who is the one who are the Democrats performing for right now? You have to see it. It's clear. This is a very clear action. You got to stop with your foolishness and going just, oh yeah, you're playing into their hands. It's simply you're being manipulated. You don't realize it. You have to look at this. Look at what they're doing. Simply, if any of you ever sat on a grand jury, you would realize what's happening here. What is being done? It's a sham. It's a sham. Okay, this is a sham. And there's one case, I can't speak about it because you're not supposed to really. But I remember of a case particularly that had this character to it. The the police and the DA had set up a sting. They had known some information before. They had a heads up from some government agency of some illegal activity. And so what they wanted was to catch the people involved, those that were conducting this illegal activity. They set up a sting, and this guy who this doesn't even wasn't a person that was known to be at a certain location, and obviously had nothing to do with the situation, okay, but had, and they, according to them, they had investigated why this person was here, and it came out that the possibility that that person was doing someone else a favor, right? All the preponderance of evidence was that this person was doing someone else a favor that couldn't be at the place at the time, right? They wanted to stick on this fellow all of these charges, like if he was the one who initiated certain things, as if he was the one that was supposed to be receiving XYZ, as if he was the one that was that is a person that's authorized to be to be the receiver of certain things or at certain times, whatever. I can't say any details about this, but the point was that they wanted the grand jury to connect this person to all the other things that they discovered about this thing that they were, and not only that, but they were the sting. In other words, this person was being set up by the sting. They did not allow the process, the regular process, to occur. Okay, where and just observe, because if they just let the regular process occur, okay, let's just go and see and then move in and make arrest. No, they actually set it up. And a person which the grand jury we all felt this person was an innocent bystander, was being then, held responsible for everything that they created in the sting. And so essentially, the sting was the evidence instead of the crime, the original crime itself. I don't know if you're able to grab. Again, I can't give you the details of exactly what went on in this case. But this was a tough, we as a grand jury, I know when I started listening to that case, and the thing was that the prosecutor, I wasn't the DA. I think the DA did come in himself on this case. And the thing is that's also another thing, because you see, we heard cases from everyone else, from all the other assistant DAs and all that. The grand jury sits for about a week, and we hear all the cases that come up, in terms of the scheduling, so. But then for this particular case, no one else other than the DA himself comes in, to present the so-called facts of this case. Listen, that jury, and they were shocked. The DA could not, after we had our vote, the DA could not believe that we returned a verdict of or decision to kick that case out. That case was not even going to the court. We were not even going to allow it to court. The DA wanted to insist that you guys are not supposed to decide if this guy is guilty or not. That's for the court. He wanted this to go to, oh man, if he could have come down on his knees and gave us all some candy or whatnot to get his decision, he would have. I'm telling you, he would have. But the grand jury wouldn't give it to him, and good for the system. The system works. When you have honest people, people with reasoning sitting on, and I know some of you guys out there. Oh man, some of you guys wanted to throw this guy under the bus. Really, you guys don't understand. Really, this is sad. Because I saw it in the grand jury. There were people there that were just ready to throw this guy under the bus. And I said, no, you guys have to come on now. You see what they're doing. You see what went on here. Okay? Don't just say, we got to let the court and the jury, another jury handle it. This is the time that we have to step in and say to them to quit this game and to stop it. And that's why the system was made and created that way, folks. We the people have the power, and that's what you have to understand. We have the power. Some of these guys, and I respect these guys. They're doing a job. It's their job. They're trying to put everyone in jail. The problem is that not everyone's supposed to go to jail. Not everyone is guilty. Hello. Well, it's innocent. This country, this one. I don't know about the other countries you came from. I don't know about the other countries you read about or you have movies in your head. I don't know what world you live in. But the United States of America, you are innocent until proven guilty. That's in the court of law. And part of that process is that the DA has to get his stuff through a grand jury, which is the one who indicts. See that? The grand jury is the people. These guys here, see what the problem is? Right now, the House of Representatives is acting as the people, right? On a jury. That's what they're doing, on a grand jury. They're the ones looking at, hearing all types of statements, and then deciding deciding to send this off to court, which would be to the Senate, because the Senate would be the one to take this and then have a trial, right? So that's the way that works at that level. So the House of Representatives is acting like a grand jury, except for the fact that they're behaving like the DA. You understand what I'm trying to say? They're not acting like a grand jury would act. They're supposed to consider what they're hearing or and conducting their business like folks, like you and I would if we're on the grand jury. That's the way they're supposed to be because they're our representatives. That's why it's the House of Representatives that handles this type of thing at the onset. But you see that at the onset they've handled it like a DA. Holding on to information, hiding it, just bringing it. I'm not saying that all the DAs do that, but I mean a lot of them do things that are considered not right in order to get the grand jury to push this into the courtroom. You see, that's their first hurdle. So they're doing what they need to do to get this thing into court. And now, that's why you have a grand jury. That's why our system, Constitution, Bill of Rights is designed carefully to make sure that everyone has due process. That there's a jury, that you are brought to a jury of your peers so that they can hear information and then decide, is this something that should go into court or not. And then when it goes into court, are you guilty or not? So twice, there's two times. See how the system, twice you are reviewed. This case is reviewed twice. So But that's when the people have it. When people, the peers are reviewing the information. Here you have the House of Representatives, and they're acting. See what they did? They're acting like these DAs that need to push this thing into the court. Deny this person due process. President Trump in this case. And simply, somebody said this and that. Well, that's it. Oh, somebody said this and that. Well, that's it. This has to go to court. This is what they're doing. A regular grand jury, randomly selected, will not push a case into court simply because on hearsay. Somebody said this. Somebody. That's all the Democrats have. And I'll show you here. Look at some of the evidence here. In Google News, look at. Let me look at. Was it here or it was in the previous? Let's look at the regular news feed. And I'm looking for See here. It says White House. I'm not saying that this is part of their discovery. I'm just making a point here. It says here White House aide confirms. See the wording here? Confirms. He saw signs of a quid pro quo on Ukraine. You see that? What do you think that means? What do you believe that means? This is reading comprehension, folks. Hate to put you through school again. I know you played hooky during that class, and you prefer not to have to repeat it now. But the issue here is that that title, even though it sounds like, he's confirming it. He's confirming BS. He's confirming his own opinion. It's like me saying, I confirm, okay, right? That I'm confirming that I know that the Democrats are not doing the right thing. That's an illegal thing. I confirm that. See? So what? What? White House aide confirms he saw. So again, he saw what? Now, what is he? Is he the official determinant of what quid pro quo? And notice that it wasn't that he saw quid pro quo, which means I'll do this if you do that. He said signs. Signs. What are signs of quid pro quo? Why don't you just say quid pro quo? If you saw something, why don't you just say that you saw it? White House aide confirms he saw quid pro quo on Ukraine. Isn't that stronger? Wouldn't that mean that he saw what he saw, right? And even though it's still his perception, his opinion of what that is, it still is stronger, way stronger than saying that he saw signs. He saw signs. Oh man, this is like this is a very high level political comedy show. That's what this is. This is comedy to a further degree. Can't say it's higher or not. It's just different. This is in a different dimension. The comedy involved in this democratic insanity against President Trump is just insane. It is literally insane. I think it's time to bring back Crazy Eddie. You remember that? Crazy Eddie. There you go, President Trump. He's on a quid pro quo. Yeah, Crazy Eddie, let's go. President Trump, yeah, I see signs. Do you see signs? Let's pray now. Oh, can you see the sign, brother? Do you see the sign? Oh, the signs of Woo! These are the signs of the times. Here we're getting into now. We get into some deep doo doo here. This is some deep doo doo. It's stinky and smelly too. Outrageous. It's just hilarious. Oh my goodness. And I'm not laughing at you. You're a Democrat. I'm not laughing at you. I later on I pray and cry about you. Okay, so it's not about laughing at you or anything, but it's just I'm laughing because, at least for me, I don't see how the Democrats can really think they can get away with this. This is what it's, and and the laughing is really fear. As I teach it, I don't teach laughing for what you guys take it. I teach about laughing very differently. You should hear my teachings on laughing. But I laugh because of the fear that you guys believe all that. That you guys are actually being duped by your political party, namely the Democratic National Committee, the Democrat Party, and these politicians. That they're literally abusing the population, the United States citizenry, using. Oh, they know that most of you don't get it. That's what it basically is. Most of you don't get it. And that's the space that they're thriving in. Right now, they're going through it because all of you have this anti-Trump mentality. They can slip anything. These guys can put their hands in your pants and take off your family jewels, and you would not know it. And this is what's going on now, and they know they can get away with it. The sure sign of it is what they did with Bernie in the 2016 election. That thing with the Democratic super delegates, the pride of democracy super delegates that you guys have there. GOP doesn't have that. We believe in democracy. But you guys take the name of democracy and you do everything but. Super delegates? Bernie was burned in 2016. But what did the Democrats do? Nothing. They did nothing. See? Why? And you know why? Because they didn't get it. That's unfortunate. I grew up in Democratic Queens, New York. They don't get it. Okay? Because I know. I grew up amongst you. All right? And I'm offended for you. You're not offended because, ignorance is bliss. If you don't know, it doesn't bother you. And that's what's happening with the Democrats. Most of your Democrats, you really don't know. And so it doesn't bother you. You think that they're your heroes. You think that what they did just now is the greatest thing to happen, when actually it's the worst thing that could have happened for your cause, for the reasons I stated at the beginning of this broadcast today. Okay, so let's look at the rest of these headlines before I finish, okay? It says here, Senator Blackburn, it says, Democrats are only holding impeachment vote after flack from critics. Okay. GOP lawmakers request roll call vote on impeachment resolution that was drawing the time that they were getting gearing up for it. U.S. House debate and vote on impeachment inquiry resolution. House to take first full vote on impeachment inquiry. This is just headlines on a search for impeachment vote. The House votes on impeachment resolution. Then Democrats impeachment vote like trying to put paint on rotten wood. Senator John Kennedy says. That's absolutely right. So then you feel this impeachment is a joke. Well, impeachment is never a joke. We have a question come in. Thanks for that. I really appreciate that. Impeachment is not a joke. Okay, impeachment is not a joke. This, though, is not an impeachment. Impeachment only begins really when the House submits articles of impeachment, which is still yet to happen. Right now, what they have only right now is a formal resolution to inquire, still an impeachment inquiry. It's not an impeachment because the impeachment that has to happen. To make it simple, impeachment has to happen in the Senate. Okay, the House only votes to impeach. In other words, they say this person is impeachable because of 1, 2, 3. These are the charges, and then they have to send that to the court, which is really in the Senate. So once the Senate then has to have a trial or not, because the Senate can knock it out of the water. Do I feel that it is justified? Yeah. Though it says, do you feel that this is justified? Though you feel they're going this as a method to attack. Well, unfortunately, they can't backstep it. I mean, at this point, everything they've done has been a consistent, unabashed attack on President Trump for whatever they can find. And Schiff, unfortunately, he demonstrated it when he started this the way he did it. The way he did it, lying, because there's at least two big lies that he said, right? There's two big lies that he said at the beginning to give it motion, to give it momentum. So on the face of it, that's what it is. The way it all started just proves it, and this vote then also, if anything confirms anything, the vote they just had this morning confirms absolutely that what they were doing before this vote was inappropriate. And now comes to the point that if you brought this up to me as a member of a grand jury, and I'm sure the jury that I was with that day when we were doing grand jury duty, they would throw this thing would not go to court the way it was handled from the beginning. I was just wondering where you stood on this. I totally agree. With the information of the whistleblower coming out and being tied to the DNC, do you think this information will bring doubt against this whole matter? Well, it's already doubt. There's already a lot of doubt. The question is the audience. And as I was hinting to just a moment ago, was that most of the Democratic audience is not even cognitively listening. They have cognitive dissonance, and that all they want to hear is impeach 45. I mean, if all that came out of the news cycle for the last last 3 years was impeach 45, they would still be happy and dribbling from their mouths in Pavlovian expectation of an impeachment that can never occur. But in any case, they are okay with it. They're not doubting. They're hopeful. So that's the reality of it. That I There's no need for it to be any more than it is. At the way it stands right now, the Senate is not going to proceed with this to any degree. So this is a dead issue. I'm just using this, and the reason that I know it truly is a witch hunt from Russia to this. How could it be a quid pro quo when the money has been given to the Ukraine and no information on Biden has been given to us from Ukraine? Right, but I go to the original issue, which was Biden asking the Ukrainians to not persecute his son. That's the quid pro quo. It's the first one, which we have to put it on the first thing because that is the first quid pro quo, and that was actually done. So we're having chat issues right now. I'm seeing your chat, but the chat room is saying that there's issues, right? I guess we're being monitored by the left. But in any case, it doesn't matter. The issue is that first quid pro quo, we cannot forget it. And if you're a Democrat, you shouldn't let the Democrats forget the first quid pro quo, which was Biden telling Ukraine, we're going to cut your funding. That was Biden, not Trump. So as far as I'm not going to the second thing until they handle the first thing. That's the way I handle things. Because the way they're doing this now, even is the way they think. Oh, forget the first thing. What happened, what's been happening up to now doesn't matter. That's what they want to do. And now, since we had the vote, now this is what matters. No, if you started off wrong, it's done. You didn't follow procedures. This is the same way they would handle it in the court of law. If the police did not follow procedure, then everything else, they could have found the smoking gun. It won't matter because the police messed up the procedure, the whole case goes out. And this is what has happened. Pelosi almost made it a guarantee it will happen with this vote. And that's that. They've done destroyed this whole thing. And it's exactly what Pelosi really wanted to have because she wasn't going to go through with an impeachment. This is the real crime, and all this is a distraction from that. Right? Too much truth. Yeah, you know that. Yes, right on. So true. That makes too much sense, and you're being way too logical. Well, it is the logic of that's needed, and unfortunately, a lot of people just don't have it. So I do my best getting out here and when I can to little share a little bit of reason, or I call reason. I don't like to be like Rush Limbaugh or anything like that, the voice of reason, but to give the other perspective. I like people to think. Don't just swallow everything that's being thrown at you like a dog, and then that's that, and be happy. We're here to reason and think. I mean, the Constitution, our nation is in our hands. We are the people. Everything about this country started was based on the people, and that's where it needs to stay. But the people need to get smart because dumbing down, we're allowing ourselves and our children to get dumbed down. And the only thing that can happen when people get dumb is that the government becomes authoritarian. And then you have dictatorship through ignorance. And you don't want that. We can have that here in this country. If everyone became so darn ignorant that the government had to make all our decisions for us, then you would have a dictatorship. That's what it is. So true. That makes too much sense. Yeah, yeah. All right. So yeah, would love to follow from you. Hey, listen. I think we are very similar viewpoint of things. I have a YouTube channel. I'm just starting to try and build on here on Twitch. Well, fine. Just you'll give me a follow if you haven't done already, and I will get some. I'll look at you guys your notifications. Also, put your channel if you want in the chat room there, username and stuff like that, and I'll certainly look it up and watch your stuff. I'm always monitoring here and there. I don't have that much time, but yeah, okay, very good. So I'll look at that, and that's for everyone else listening. SJG perspective. I like that perspective. Very good. SJG perspective, and we should look him up on YouTube and whatnot, and see what's he doing. Okay, so here we go. So let's see if there's anything else here important or interesting before we finalize this broadcast. I have other things to broadcast today. We have a Bitcoin cryptocurrency coming up right after this. Interesting broadcast, by the way, for people who have yet not invested in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. I'm going to give you a real logical, way too logical way to look at look at the question: should you get into it or not? And we're going to look into it really, and you're going to be surprised at really what is the best choice for you to do at this point. So look up for that next broadcast. It says malpractice to assume Democrats will vote to impeach Trump is one of the articles here. Former top Hillary Clinton advisor says that. Malpractice to assume Democrats will vote to impeach Trump. Okay, so that's interesting. That's from a former Clinton advisor. Democrats who impeached Bill Clinton tell GOP vote with eye toward history. Trump impeachment inquiry enters new phase as Pelosi sets the vote. Okay. Trump News Live, impeachment vote result, and the latest news. It says here one from the Atlantic: impeachment just became inevitable. Really? Woo! And you see these headlines. Some of these guys are really. This shows you right now. You can look at the Atlantic and just discard that paper as a credible news source. Really, you have to discard that paper. It loses all credibility if you're using your reasoning. But again, these papers right now, and I'm going to tell you something. Thank you, sir. I'm going to tell you something. This you have this issue here where you have newspapers are dying. I used to be a newspaper publisher, by the way. Okay, so I know about newspapers. I know about editing. I was the editor in chief. I had my own thing, and we had great success. But the thing is that this was at a time right when the internet was starting up and all that. So we got into Dutch. I was doing my paper with desktop publishing on an Amiga back in those days. What's that, right? Yeah, so I went back far, and but I saw that the newspaper business was starting to go down because of the internet. As the internet is started to boom, the time for newspapers was going to dwindle, and also now you have the proliferation of all this news media, so they're really competing for eyes. Right now, they're about to say anything they can to try to get subscribers and people to come and read. And remember the little trick, the Sentinel here, Orlando Sentinel, here in Orlando where I'm at, and even the New York Times where I used to be at in New York. You go, you see a news article here on Google, you click on it, you go there once or twice. You guys, it happened to you, and then they want you to subscribe to see more, like if they're the only ones with news, which I never do because there's other people with news and with the story, a similar story. So I just don't go to them. I'm not going to subscribe to them or anything like this because there's other ways to monetize news. And if they're still trying the old way with subscription, you guys, it's a dumb thing. You guys are just dumb. I could tell you right now, you're just trying to hold on to old-fashioned stuff. You got to get with it. News information is free online. Let's get with it. Okay, fine. There's other ways to make money. Okay, but information should be given for free. There's other ways to get me to show my appreciation and to create content. All you have to do is create stuff, not just provide news, because everyone provides news. The issue is to provide something that only you can provide, and that is should not be the news. The news should be unbiased, straightforward, and free to the population. Do something else, do some summations, some editorialized volumes, do some other works, derived works from the news and other research material, and do your own interviews and do something more than just the news, and you can sell that. People will buy that, there's other ways to make money. I'm not here to, you guys want to hire me to show you how to make some money online. I tell you, you can hire me. We will get you going. But having people just to subscribe just to get the news, it's a little dirty trick, and it's not going to last long. Your time is running out. But here with this Atlantic and this statement, this article, impeachment just became inevitable. You know what? The end of your days has just become inevitable. That's all that has become inevitable. Just amazing. It says here this is an opinion. Also, you guys have to look at the news, and you see this little thing that says opinion. Okay, that's not news. It's just an opinion. So you don't know the difference. You clowns believed our demand for an impeachment vote, and now the joke is on you. It's obviously somebody who is going to say similar things to what I just said in this broadcast. Let's see. House Democrats prepare. Nancy Pelosi. Nothing really of any weight here. Here's one thing. It says Nancy Pelosi's impeachment letter suggests and SH star asterisk T is getting real constitution wise. Right, but again, the point was that it wasn't real before. As a matter of fact, it was quite inappropriate. Take care, God bless you. It was quite inappropriate before. And also this vote then just now crapped upon what happened before. It just really destroyed it. Okay, and I think here's an interesting thing I will want to read. It says Ivanka Trump reacts to impeachment vote with a quote from Thomas Jefferson. I want to read that. Those of you who know Thomas Jefferson's quotes, it's very relevant to the context of what I was speaking to in this broadcast. Let's take a quick look at this. She said to her father, "Some things never change that." Ivanka wrote, referring to her father. It says, Jefferson quote she said reads this: surrounded by enemies and spies, catching and perverting every word that falls from my lips or flows from my pen, and inventing where facts fail them. See? And inventing where facts fail them, meaning that they create stuff when they don't get the facts, or they choose to ignore the facts. So this was Thomas Jefferson's reflections on Washington, D.C. in a letter to his daughter Martha. Some things never change that, she says. Okay, so absolutely, this is all a sham. It's a shame, and again, it goes to show you up to what level. And with this, I'll finish. To what level this government, meaning the Democratic Party and the political ambiance, the swamp, if you call it, will go to what the countenance upon. I'm using biblical speech now. Countenance upon. If you see Sunday's teaching, you'll see what that means. Okay, in other words, to look down upon the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, due process. Just to have score some political momentum. And really, just with your crowd, just with your Democratic audience, and then based on or fueled by sheer ignorance, their ignorance, which you failed to educate them, and you're just abusing them, you're using them for your own ends, political gain. That's all it is. And as soon as you Democrats realize it, the sooner you guys will be free. You shall know the truth, and with this I end. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. This is Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. Thank you again for watching, and catch us for our following broadcast.